recently we had a fantastic conversation with Beth and Riki Hill from the Hills on Tour about our biggest failures, and that is coming up right now. Apologies, the quality of the video and the audio isn't perfect, but I still think the conversation is quite entertaining and really useful to learn about all of the things that we've both messed up. So here we are.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi guys, how you doing?
So we thought it'd be good to have a bit of a conversation about all of our failures and maybe some of our hopes as well. And from when I met you a long time ago, I think we spent quite a few hours discussing the things that we'd messed up and screwed up. So cutting it down to 5 for us at least was challenging.
Yeah, challenge.
Yes, yes, we had a number throughout the year for sure, as we know you did as well.
James, do you want to kick us
I was
off?
going to pick on him actually.
With your first failure.
Okay. Oh, this is a corker.
So I needed to get something from a van. We were parked up at home, normal life, but we had to. So the door on the toilets was broken. We fixed it now, but if you went in, you then couldn't come out. So I went to get something in the toilet. No, not in the toilet, in the van. I really needed to go. I went, and then I couldn't open it because I closed it on myself.
Oh dear.
With our one, there's a sky
skylight.
Sky window, or and I opened up that and got half my body out and started screaming.
We should add that I was in the house, so James was by himself. And
Wow.
Help. And then there was someone across the road, like, what are you doing? I think he thought it was a prank. Then my next door neighbour then started trying to get in, but then my mum heard me.
But it was anarchy because the dog was out, he was barking. There was just this little head poking out the top of the van.
Oh no!
So were you stood on the toilet?
Yeah.
No, I was actually on the sink.
Were you on the sink?
Yeah, and then I quickly got my feet off it.
I'm surprised you didn't break.
I got my feet off it, and I was like this. And my plan was to go out, get out, slide down the bonnet, which I was actually looking forward to, then open the door from the outside. So then go in, open the door, and not tell anyone.
Probably worked out for the best, to be honest. Excellent. Well, that's definitely 1-0 to you for sure.
Lots of water-based fails.
Yeah, it seems to be myself and water.
Well, you.
Yeah, so we were at Ferry Meadows, and actually I'm blaming Beth completely because
How?
I wanted to fly the drone, and Beth, we hadn't had it long, had we?
No.
We hadn't had it long at all, so we're very uncomfortable with the whole drone thing. So I said, no, you're not flying it now. You can come back in the morning, and we were with some family. So anyway, that evening I was a bit restless, really wanted to fly the drone. So I said, we'll just go and do it now. And why don't you get the sunset rather than the sunrise, which was great. So off I went, and I went to one of the lakes where we were staying. There's a number of lakes. Was filming the sunset with the time lapse on the GoPro. Thought what would really add to this is a bit of drone footage. So I was flying the drone over the lake, really just biding time for the sunset. And a duck took off from the lake, took off straight into the drone, which sent the drone straight into the lake. But the lake wasn't
the drone.
Literally, well, yeah, I mean, there was lots of squawking, 2 ducks having a fight, and then next thing, the drones just hit the water.
What are the chances?
But I could see it in underwater because it wasn't very deep, and I could see the lights basically malfunction on the drone, going all flashing, and so I kind of ummed for a minute, but then I just jumped in the lake. It was probably, I don't know, 50 feet away, waded over, grabbed it, and
Fully clothed.
So when I went back,
you did take your shoes off, didn't you?
Took my shoes off. When I went back to the van, I was up to my waist, basically soaking wet, holding the drone. And
this was December. Okay,
so
it was
Oh right, okay. So this wasn't like the middle of summer.
No.
And surprisingly, the biggest surprise of all, in the morning the drone worked again, and we've still got the same drone. Yeah.
So you had a couple of goes in the garden, and then thought over water.
I'm now literally an expert. I'm ready to take on water. I'm blaming, and also Beth, because if she'd let me fly it in the daytime, I wouldn't have been tempted to go out later. So I'm blaming Beth completely.
And the ducks might not have been there by then.
Exactly. More points to my case.
So mine goes back to, we were going to Blackpool for this one's birthday, and I had prepared an itinerary. And so it was a 3-page itinerary with times of exactly what we were doing when. And we just got to Blackpool, and the plan was to get a taxi, go down to the coast and go and play on some arcade machines. And we had a strict deadline. Ella went to the fridge. It's a dual opening fridge that opens from both sides. Very fancy. And it hadn't been clicked in properly on one side. She opened the fridge and the whole door came off. And so we were stood there with a fridge full of food ready for the weekend, and wine as well.
Yeah,
and it was like, we have to be there, but if we leave that, we're going to lose all our food. And it was a very stressful hour while Paul went and got a load of tools from the site we were staying at, pulled the fridge to pieces to try and work out how to get it to fit back on it, because it wasn't as simple as just flick it back on. It was quite complex. And that was really stressful. That was horrible.
Yeah, that wasn't particularly nice.
It was so horrible.
Well, I think you had a gin tonic whilst I was fixing it.
Do you know what? I had to. I was just like,
if nothing else, you're lightening the load on the fridge, so you're doing everybody a favour by having a gin tonic.
it was going to go warm.
Was that one of the? Is that one of the Dometic fridges?
Yeah. And there's no guides online on how to work these things.
No.
Well, there might be.
No, I searched all of the guides. There were no guides.
As with all things, when you take them apart, you don't get them all back together. So when I've still got it actually.
Just dang it.
There we go. That's one part. It's purely aesthetic, but it's supposed to go on the top of the door.
Yeah.
I put it all back together and was like, Jen, I've done it. And then I turned around and this was on the side, and I was like, It now lives in the cupboard above the fridge, which is close to where it's supposed to be.
Put it back next time.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah. It's as good as done, isn't it? I mean, it's above. Yeah.
If there's any consolation, that's happened to us as well. With the fridge door come off.
Has it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Once when we were somewhere, weren't we, at a meetup, and you'd gone back to get some drinks, and he was gone for ages, really long time, and the whole door had come off and landed on your foot, and there was alcohol everywhere, and
And funnily enough, we didn't think to film it.
No.
So no one else got to share that.
Yeah.
Is it number 2 for you guys?
Okay, I think it was it's our sense of direction and ending up in the wrong places. And I think I have a friend who likes to tell us about all their experiences in their caravan and says, oh, go to these places, they're great. And we were in Cornwall and we ended up taking a slightly different mode of transport, didn't we, than we planned. Yeah,
so our friend recommended a site, but because they're caravanners, they go for sort of 2 weeks and set up camp and then go off and explore the area. Obviously, with a motorhome, we like just to keep moving. So he told us of this this place down the road that has the best coffee and the best view having a coffee that he's seen anywhere in the world. And he's travelled the world. His daughter works for BA, so they travel everywhere. So I thought that's right up our street. Didn't fully contemplate we were going from a different direction because they were going from the site we were about to stay at, but we hadn't gone there yet. So anyway, I put the postcode in. Beth was oblivious. It was a surprise. And then the roads were getting more and more narrow, and I was too much because it was a surprise. But I was a bit concerned, and then I started to see signs saying that it was the end of the road, and the only thing after this was a ferry. But I thought I'd play it cool because it's a surprise, right? And who says the signs are right anyway? And there was one part where it was only just wide enough for the van. I think we may have had to pull the wing mirrors in, and that was the point of no return. At the end was just the smallest ferry. There was bicycles and like minis getting on, and then there was us. And so I genuinely thought he won't let us on, and there was nowhere to turn around.
And it was a hairpin bend on the harbour to get onto the ferry. As well, 2 hairpins. It was like an S shape, and I thought, I don't even know if we can actually do that
So, but the guys
Wow.
made us get on, and we had to park in the middle of the ferry just for balance. And then he would attempt to cross the river. And so I think he did actually subscribe to our channel,
Yeah, he
though, which
did,
was quite cool.
yeah.
Because they were looking at the van the whole way across, sort of going, "Is it okay? Is it okay?" And then we had our name all over the back and the sides, so they got their phone out and just subscribed. So we got some subscribers out of it.
And it was one of the pull ferries, so it was on chains.
Oh, wow.
So
my
yeah,
God.
yeah, it was. I just
Wow.
sat there
Yeah.
very stressed.
I mean, did you get
So
that?
whilst we were on the ferry,
we did film it.
yeah, I phoned the guy and said, "You may have failed to mention that to get to
Ferry.
this place involved a ferry." So what are you talking about? I never went on a ferry. I said, "We're on the ferry. We were FaceTiming," and he said, "Oh yeah, I just remember now, because of course I came from the campsite, which you haven't been to yet." I was like, "Thanks for that." Just a very
Did you get the
vital piece of
coffee?
information. Sorry,
Did you get the coffee?
that leads to our next fail.
Okay.
No
We'll
spoilers.
we'll come to that in a second.
Want to carry on with number 3 then, and if you
Right.
can move straight into it.
Okay.
It does, yeah, segue
Yeah.
nicely in, really.
So the other pressure of this coffee shop place, it wasn't even a coffee shop.
Why are we
it,
still married?
it was a hut, basically. But that's a very good question. It was a hut, but right on the coast. The other problem was it closed at 4 o'clock. And we'd been messing about all day, and we had no rush. We couldn't get on the site till later.
I didn't know there was a time pressure.
So
Yes.
which was adding to my pressure, because I was trying to jeer along a little bit without telling her why. But anyway, so once we'd crossed on the ferry, which massively extended what the sat nav was saying was our destination arrival time, I then became aware that we were up against it time wise to even get a coffee. So we got off the ferry, and it was all the traditional Cornish lanes, so very small, basically cycle paths. And we got to the village. I don't know if you call it a village. I can't remember what it's called now.
And you know, kind of the Dukes of Hazzard style of driving, but with a
Yeah.
van that was 7.7
Oh, right, okay.
meters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which probably seems a little bit erratic when you don't realise there's a deadline. Well, so I knew there was a deadline,
I was
so
holding on for dear life.
just thought I was keen to get to the site. And when we got there, we pulled into the village, and it was literally 5 or 10 to 4. I can't remember. So I literally launched us into the car park. But as we went in, it was a bit of a drop, and so a bit of a hump. So the bottom of the van scraped on the bottom, and it pulled the water pipes off.
Oh no.
So it was our first day of our 2-week sort of coast tour, and so then we were sat in the van. I'd heard the scrape, but didn't think anything of it.
I did.
And then all of a sudden, looked outside, and there was just water passing us, like because we're on a hill, and it was our water. And I was like, "Have you seen this water out here? Where's that coming from?" And it was our fresh water tank currently emptying everywhere. So a quick look under the van.
I did grab the camera.
Yeah, she did
I
grab
grabbed
the
my
camera.
phone.
Well done. Well done.
Excellent.
So yeah, quick look underneath. It was all very clear where the water was coming from. It was pouring out the bottom.
Everyone was staring at us. You know, these motorhomers coming to our Cornish. You know, all these
Yeah.
grockles and emptying their water in our car park. No.
Yeah, listen through choice. We're not
No, we
choosing
ripped
to.
the water pipe out.
So
No, not me. You.
yeah. So anyway, we consider it's what's done's done. You know, best thing we really need a coffee now, right?
Yeah.
More than ever.
Uh,
And walk down to the coffee hut, and of course by now it's shut. So the whole thing's a waste of time
yeah,
anyway.
you
the
didn't
walk
get
was so
coffee.
romantic, as you can imagine.
Yeah, didn't speak a word. Funnily enough. So a very peaceful walk to the coffee hut.
Oh,
And yes, so no coffee. The view was quite nice.
It was, yeah.
And then try and work out what to do about the van, because we've got 2 weeks ahead of us, and we've currently got no water and no way to store water.
I think it was a Saturday as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
no.
yeah.
oh no. Please tell me someone bought you a thermos for Christmas.
I meant to look this up before we had the call, but I ran out of time. What was the name of the Motorhome Show where we were going to meet up? Can you remember?
Oh, was that the Shepton Mallet one?
That was
Yeah,
the one in Shepton Mallet.
yeah.
Yeah. So we hadn't. I think we'd done wild camping once before.
Yeah.
But this was going to be the second kind of time of doing wild camping, and yeah, you know, we were looking forward to kind of meeting up with you guys and seeing the show and stuff like that. And as we were driving off, a couple of things kind of beeping and stuff, but I just kind of ignored it, didn't worry about it. And then when we got to the show, I had a look at the control readout, and it said both the batteries were at 50%. I thought that's a bit unusual because we've been plugged in at home. That shouldn't be the case. I'll leave it, and I'll come back when we've been round the show. I'll come and have a look at it then. So I got back from the show, and it's not a massive show. We maybe an hour or something. Came back to the van. So yeah, okay. So maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. Came back, and both the batteries were showing as completely dead. So the vehicle battery and the leisure battery. So I was like, well, this is a big problem, because actually, if the vehicle battery's out, we can't start the van. So we are really, really stuffed. So I went and tried the van. Van started fine. I was like, well, I'm not stopping the van. What we'll do is we'll bail on the idea to kind of wild camp at this show, because that's not a sensible idea. And we'll go to like a close by campsite and we'll plug in. The only problem is, I thought we were wild camping, so I haven't brought our cable.
Oh, no.
So I went back into this show, and I was just like focused, just walking at like 100 miles an hour, just looking at every stall, and any stall that had some sort of van accessory, I was just like, have you got a cable hookup cable? And they were, no, we don't sell those. I'll try over there. And eventually I found one, and I have no idea how much I paid for it.
All of the money.
It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in my completely focused state, I found a campsite that we could go to, phoned them up and said, you know, have you got electric hookup? Yep, no problem. And didn't really pay attention to what direction it was. So it was a couple of hours further drive, a couple of hours further away from home. So we gave ourselves an even bigger drive the next day. Actually,
we just spent the whole weekend driving.
we did spend the whole weekend driving.
No exploring. It was just motorway.
Just sat in the van, driving along.
It was rubbish.
Wow.
It was rubbish.
Proper rubbish.
But actually, the cause of it turned out to be the actual PSU failure. The whole thing had failed, so we ended up having to get the whole thing replaced. But the big lesson I've learned is, even if you think you're wild camping, still take electric hookup with you.
Yes. Yeah,
Why?
definitely. We have two cables, one that stays plugged in at home and one that just stays in the van.
Yeah, that's
Now
what
we have two cables.
now we have
Now
that.
you've got
Yes. Perfect, so you're sorted.
One gold-plated expensive one bought in the middle of nowhere.
Do you just save that for special occasions?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have the gold-plated power supply today.
Yeah, exactly. So the TV will be better. Everything will be better because we've got to go.
Oh, yeah. You'll really notice it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
Ellie,
wow.
you've sat very patiently.
Are we gonna
Would
let
you
you
like
do
to
one?
tell your story? You've forgotten it.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
So where were we?
So we were Green,
You were in Breen.
and I saw LOL. And
No, you need to rewind. We were going to the market, and we were hoping it was going to be a food market, and to get some dinner. It was the worst market I've ever been to.
And I saw LOL, so I wanted to get LOL.
An LOL is an LOL doll. The
Yeah.
premise is that you have a ball and you can open it, and
You get
then
a toy.
you get a surprise doll.
And you get lots of accessories. And sometimes even a motorhome or something.
No, very rarely do you get the motorhome in an LOL doll. But
Giant
what was the problem with your LOL doll, Ella?
Well, when I opened it, it was fake.
Yeah, Ella
Oh.
got done.
So
Oh,
the hair
no.
on the back, there wasn't any hair
Nope.
on the back. There was barely any hair. You could
A
see.
bald doll.
Oh,
And it came with the head off. Well, you could always take the head off the LOL. But
Oh.
no, it didn't. You couldn't put it back on. Yeah, normally LOL, you can put the head back on.
Yeah.
And the arm was off.
Yeah, one of the arms was off as well.
dear.
Oh no, so they've been fighting.
But the sad bit is, it was your holiday money from Grandpa.
Oh,
So she'd gone to buy this doll, and it was her first experience of a market knockoff, and got completely done, didn't you?
what happened to the fake LOL doll?
Oh, I put it in the bin.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So in at number 4 for you guys.
What's
I
for?
think it's our parking fails.
Yeah.
So, but one turned into a positive though. So our first parking fail, we're not. The direction does seem to be a problem for us. We went to the Van Life Eats festival.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, it was really lovely, and we planned to do a pub stopover the first sort of the night before, just sort of nearby. I think we sort of went straight from work and travelled down, and we were had a message from one of our friends from Wandering Really, and they said, "Oh, if you're about, you can come on to the site now." And we sort of said, "Oh, we've got a pub stopover, but actually, okay, we'll do that then." And they said, "But you have to get here before it goes dark, or you can't get on the site." And it's on a farm, so there's no kind of electric or anything like that. So you've got to get parked up. So like, okay, so quick, pack up then, tell the pub we're not going to stay there.
We'd literally just pulled in the pub car park, and they'd seen us, and when the phone call or the message or whatever came in, so it was sort of like, now it's a bit awkward because we've just pulled in and then we're just going to pull out. So I went in to say thanks but no thanks, didn't I? And then we shot off.
Yeah,
It's not you, it's me.
And of course,
Sorry.
It's not you, it's me.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Taking one look at the place, and so inevitably by this time it was I don't know, getting 6-7 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah.
So the traffic was quite bad, and so we hit standstill traffic, didn't we, on a dual carriageway.
Yeah.
And we just thought, oh, no, we're literally like 2 miles away, but you know the sun is going down. Are we going to make it? So another kind of Hills on Tour classic, scraping in, you know, back going down the lanes to try and get there on time, sweating, panicking, quick, they're going to shut the gates, quick. So we got there, we messaged our friends, and we're like, we're here, where are you, because there's a couple of different fields. And so they said, oh, we're up, you know, on the top field. So we're like, okay, so get in, get parked up, you're right next to our friends, brilliant, excellent, get pitched up, get the awning out, because we're going to be there for a few days. And then
in the morning, someone came up to us and said, you, I can't remember how they phrased it, but basically, so you're exhibiting your van then? And we said, what? No? What are you talking about? And they said, well, you're parked in the exhibition part, so we could assume you're exhibiting your van. And so we were like, well, no, we're not. No, it's just a Swift Contiki. And there's all these like self-build vans and
conversions.
And so we, for a bit, thought about it, and I put boarding out, and I don't normally do that on the first night. I normally wait till the next day, but I thought, you know what, let's set it all up. So I've got the chairs out, the table, the whole shebang.
Everything out, Kadak, you know, the whole thing. So
we just said, you know what, shall we just exhibit the van? It's probably easier.
Shall we just wing it?
So then, but then we decided, no, that's just ridiculous. It will look stupid because there's all these self-build conversions, whatever.
And us.
So we had to then pack everything away and move the van to another part.
But on the flip side of that, moved down to the other field away from the exhibitors area, and actually we ended up parking with some people that we then got chatting to, and we had a brilliant time, didn't we?
Yeah.
And our friends that had been parked up wondering we had come down, Liam and Dee, and then we met Paul's van, who has the big yellow van, and he's the feeder, so we got fed beautiful food, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we met Carl from Built Not Port, didn't we, because he was down that end as well, which then leads to our next parking fail.
Yeah.
Well, not fail, actually, it was a good
It's
good
just
thing.
being in the wrong place at the wrong
Always.
time. So when we went to the Overlander show,
The late summer edition.
we went to the first one earlier in the year and had a great time. So we went a couple of days earlier this year, and Beth can work remotely, so got ourselves there set up so Beth could work a couple of days remotely. Then we'd be there from the Friday. Also, I think we went on Wednesday, didn't we?
Yeah.
And again, after work, late at night, pitch black, parked up in this field, and then we ended up in the built not bought section again.
Again.
Very much a bought not built van this one.
So and there's all these flags everywhere, clearly emphasising the built not bought, and then there's our Swift Contiki sat there like.
Yeah, I built this. It looks very much. I based it on Swift's model.
Yeah. Can you guess
Even
what
got
place?
the logo.
But in fairness, Carl came out from Built Not Bought, and he was kind of his area, and he just sort of looked at us, and the marshal was like, "Oh, we're just going to park them up there," and he was like, "Oh no, they'll be fine. We know them." And a couple of times, "That's fine. They can park there." So.
Yeah.
They were so lovely and welcoming, and that's the brilliant thing, isn't it, about the van community? It doesn't matter really what you know. It's we all love travel, and we all love
But we
having
were
adventures.
definitely the odd van
Oh,
out
yeah.
for like the rest of the time. So from the Wednesday right through till the Sunday.
And then the Northerners came and parked next to us, didn't
Yeah.
they? So there was us two in the middle of all of the built not bought area once again.
So yeah, so that was a bit of a fail, really. But we had a great time. So
We did, and we made the caravan and loads of lovely people again,
Yeah.
sort of all in that area. So we actually like it. We just pretend
Yeah,
that we're a built not bought van.
I think it's going to be our thing now. We just completely park in the wrong section and pretend it's a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing
Blend
to do.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of the Overlander area next time, I reckon.
See if they notice.
Or maybe just go to a caravan only.
Yeah. Tent section.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh, what this? Oh no, it's a caravan. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a caravan. What are you talking about? So, yeah. Just make sure we arrive late, like we always do when it's dark.
Yes.
In at number 5 for us, we went to Devon between Christmas and New Year with not a huge amount of a plan.
That was a learning point.
She's
No
pulling
plan.
faces already. So part of the plan was to go to Exeter because Jen went to university there and she wanted to show the kids round. And I found a park up close to Exeter. Oh, you're getting kisses.
Yeah, just getting a walk.
Hey,
So I found a park up near to Exeter, which on Park for Night said it had a beautiful view.
It's on Pennsylvania Road.
Pennsylvania Road. It's not too far from Exeter. You could probably get into the centre straight from there.
Yeah.
And when we parked up, there were no other cars or vehicles in this car park,
except one,
apart from one car.
which was in front of the view.
Yeah, it was in front of
Harvest
the.
River.
So yeah, there's kind of lots of trees, and then there's a gap between these trees where you can see this beautiful view across the fields and everything. And so I waited for this car to move because I was like, I quite like that view. And then when they left, I put the van in place, and then I got out and I kind of stood behind this window and was like, oh no, I'm going to move it forward, a couple of feet so that I've got this perfectly lined up with where I'm going to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And got everything, put it on chocks to level the van. We're all sorted, and then probably about 10 p.m. maybe started to get a little bit windy.
And then at 1.
And then we were kind of lying there in the van, and basically all of this wind was just being channeled through between this nice beautiful gap down the fields, over the hill, and up and straight onto the side of our van.
Oh,
It was
wow.
horrible.
And it felt like there were just people just rocking the van.
Wow.
And so at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I rolled across to Jen and said, look, shall I just move the van? Because it's like, are we basically taking the view that we're not going to get any sleep? Because if that's the case, we might as well just take the risk and move the van. So we've got this new cover on I think you've got one. We put the cover on the outside of the front windscreen. So I didn't fully take that off. Just kind of pulled it down so I could kind of see out.
I didn't realise.
And the kids were still in their beds.
I was
and
awake.
Jen was in bed, and Remy was, I think, with you in bed.
Probably.
And I was still asleep. I was awake.
Ella will sleep through absolutely anything.
I slept on a boat once.
Basically, blowing wind
And
and
in a
rain.
football pit.
You did. You slept at the new
Well,
camp in
yeah,
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Yeah. Basically just drove in a circle around this car park so that we didn't have the nice view anymore, but we had a bit more protection and we had the kind of nose into the wind. And then I think we got a bit more sleep.
Yeah, it was pretty gusty.
A little bit,
It was a bit gusty.
Yeah. So big lesson is
Yes.
you might be good,
Yeah.
but consider the elements.
Yes. Wind tunnel.
Yeah, you might pay for it. So good lesson there, actually. Very good lesson.
Yeah.
Lucky as well, having parked up and got the view for the wind to then pick up as well later on.
Well, I mean, it might have been windy before. I was just ignoring it because I was looking at the view.
Very true. Brilliant. That's a good one.
We have got a kind of a fifth one, another water related one, and really it was
Right.
again Riki and water. And
This looks
You're
bad.
getting
Don't be fooled. It's not as bad as it seems.
so we went to the Lake District, and we had a lovely trip around. We were quite blessed with the weather, weren't we? It was quite nice weather. And so I really wanted to go on lots of boat trips while we were at the lakes, which we did. So we went sort of tour boats and things, which was great. But you know, you can't really stop anymore because of COVID. You can't get off and have a little wander around. So I thought it'd be a good idea to hire a rowing boat, because then we've got a bit more freedom, and you were allowed to sort of dock and get out and have a little look around. So we hired a rowing boat, didn't we? And then
That's your story.
Well-
Right. We guess who. Your view of what's a good idea depends on how that impacts you. So Beth's idea of hiring a rowing boat being really good is because she's really clear she won't be rowing.
oh no,
So of course it's a good idea.
Was there poetry?
Lovely,
you've got longer arms.
really relaxing little tour around the lakes, pass the time away. It is really relaxing when you're not rowing. So I was rowing.
So you were rowing, and it was doing quite well. And then the wind got a little bit, didn't it, as well? And it got quite bumpy. And there was a few sort of wakes that we had to cross. So, but you were handling it quite well, weren't you? Then the overconfidence came in. So then you thought you were some sort of Olympic athlete, and you were powering, weren't you?
Well, the thing is, we were going to keep it. Did we have an hour?
I think so.
Yeah, whatever time we had a limited amount of time. So you kind of have to measure your expectation, because of course, as far as you go, you've got to get back. So we would say, well, we'll just go round there, and then Beth would say, like, oh, should we just go round that island? And that island is quite close if you're on a speedboat. When you're rowing, it's not that close. So like, okay, yeah, we'll head for the island, and then it looks like a nice little island. But when you get going around, you think, actually, this is quite big, like at my rowing pace. So hence that we had to get going, because we'd gone further than we probably should have done.
And you could see the weather was coming in as well, sort of across the other side of the lake. So we had to get back. So Riki was powering back to the dock, weren't you? In view of the people we'd hired the boat from. And then you kind of overpowered a little bit, didn't you? And you sort of tipped over all the way backwards, didn't you?
So I ended up with my legs up in the air, and it's hard to explain. I don't even know what happened. I genuinely
it all happened in slow motion. It was just perfect. It was literally
because I was on the pivot point where my legs went up, which almost counterbalanced me, but then it didn't, and then I went backwards. So
and he was gone in a puddle of water.
Like one of those moments in the cartoons where someone runs off the edge of a mountain and hangs there for a little bit.
Yes. The balance point. It went on for quite some time.
And unfortunately, that was being videoed, because Beth was videoing the view, and
I caught it.
So unfortunately, that is in one of our Lake District vlogs somewhere. Sad to say, that's one of the ones where I wish we weren't videoing.
His face, honestly, it was absolutely a classic picture. It really was.
That was quite fascinating hearing about your fails. There's some definite common themes running through them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you put it into context, I think that they're minimal. It's just when you talk about just your fails, water does seem to be a theme on reflection.
The drone, and then
clear of it.
Yeah, the water pipe was not funny at the time. It really wasn't.
I just thought.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, thanks very much, guys.
Thank
you.
you. See you soon. Take care. See you. Bye.
Thanks so much to Beth and Riki for sharing their failures with us. Check out their channel, The Hills on Tour. I'll put a link in below. Very entertaining as they travel around the country, and they've even done a fantastic trip across to Germany as well, which is really interesting to watch. So thanks again, guys. Take care.